The classroom went silent. The sound of fabric tearing cut through the air like a knife. In the middle of 30 wide-eyed students stood Miss Ayla, the new English teacher, her shirt half ripped by the cruel hands of 3 boys who thought they ruled the school. For a moment, everything froze, the humiliation, the mockery, the disbelief. Then, in the blink of an eye, what happened next would become a story the entire school would whisper about for years. Miss Ayla wasn't just any teacher. She was a fighter. And that day, the bullies learned the hard way that respect is earned, not forced. It was the first week of the new semester at Brookfield High, a school notorious for rowdy teenagers and a handful of boys who seemed untouchable. They mocked, they laughed, they tested every teacher who dared stand in front of them. Miss Ayla, only 27, had walked into that school with a radiant smile and a soft voice, carrying hope in her heart. Teaching wasn't just a job for her, it was a calling. After losing her father, who had been a teacher himself, she wanted to continue his legacy. But deep inside, she carried another strength, her years of training in Judo, a skill her father insisted she learn not just for self-defense, but for self-respect. From day one, some students liked her warmth and patience, but others, especially the group led by Ryan, Jason, and Luke, saw her as an easy target. The boys started small. Ryan would snicker loudly in the middle of her lessons. Jason would throw paper balls at the whiteboard whenever she turned around. Luke, the boldest, would make comments about her clothes and looks to make the class laugh. Miss Ayla ignored it at first. She had been told during training that young teachers must earn respect through consistency, not confrontation. She believed patience could win hearts. But soon their games turned cruel. They began spreading rumors that she was too young, too weak, too nice to be a real teacher. And the more Miss Ayla tried to show kindness, the more they pushed. It was Wednesday morning, second period. The sunlight streamed through the large windows as Miss Ayla handed out a poetry assignment. She walked row to row, encouraging shy students and smiling when someone got the answer right. But at the back, the 3 boys were whispering, "Bet she won't even say anything if we mess with her." Ryan chuckled. Jason grinned. "She's scared of us? Watch this." As Miss Ayla leaned over to help a girl struggling with her work, Jason grabbed her scarf. She quickly pulled it back, embarrassed. But before she could speak, Ryan tugged at her shirt from the side. The sound of cloth ripping filled the room. Gasps echoed. A few students covered their mouths in shock. Some girls looked horrified, while others stared, waiting to see what Miss Ayla would do. Ryan smirked. "Relax, miss, just a joke." Jason laughed. "Yeah, don't get mad. We're just having fun." Miss Ayla stood there, her heart pounding. For a second, shame threatened to drown her. But then, her father's words rang in her ears. "Never let them define your strength. Respect yourself first, then others will respect you too." She looked up, her eyes no longer soft but sharp like steel. Calmly, she set her books on the desk. "Fun," she said quietly. "Let me show you what fun feels like." Before Ryan could respond, Miss Ayla stepped forward, grabbed his arm, and in a swift movement flipped him onto the floor with a perfect judo throw. His body hit the ground with a heavy thud. The room erupted. Some students gasped, others cheered. Jason jumped forward, but Miss Ayla blocked his grab and spun him onto the ground too. Luke, now panicked, lunged at her. She sidestepped, grabbed his wrist, and pinned him against the desk. Silence, dead silence. 30 students watched, frozen in awe. The 3 boys, who once thought they ruled the classroom, were now sprawled on the floor, groaning in shock. Miss Ayla didn't shout. She didn't curse. She simply straightened her torn shirt, looked each boy in the eye, and said, "This classroom is a place of respect. If you can't give it, you will never receive it. Do you understand?" For the first time, Ryan, Jason, and Luke nodded without smirks. Their arrogance had crumbled. Word spread like wildfire across the school. By lunchtime, everyone was talking about the new teacher who took down the bullies without breaking a sweat. Some exaggerated, saying she was a secret martial arts champion. Others simply admired her courage. But most importantly, her students began to respect her, not out of fear but admiration. That night, however, Miss Ayla sat alone in her apartment, tears in her eyes. She hadn't wanted it to go this way. She wanted to be known for her teaching, not her strength. She worried, "Did I do the right thing? Will the school fire me?" The next day, she was called into the principal's office. Her heart sank, expecting punishment. But to her surprise, the principal smiled. "Miss Ayla, I've had more calls from parents praising you in one day than I've had in months." You stood up for yourself and for what's right. This school needs teachers like you. Her eyes welled with relief. The fear melted, replaced with quiet pride. The real miracle came weeks later. Ryan, Jason, and Luke, once the terrors of her classroom, began to change. Ryan started staying behind after class to actually finish assignments. Jason, who had always hidden his struggles with reading, asked Miss Ayla for extra help. Luke, though still rough around the edges, stopped making crude jokes and began participating in discussions. It wasn't easy, and it wasn't overnight. But slowly they softened, not because they feared her, but because they respected her. She had shown them strength, but also fairness. By the end of the semester, Miss Ayla's class wasn't just another English class. It was a community. A place where laughter filled the room, where even the troublemakers found a reason to care, and where respect was no longer demanded but naturally given. Miss Ayla proved something powerful. You don't have to raise your voice to be heard. You don't have to fight with anger to win. Sometimes true strength is calm, quiet, and unshakable. And so, the teacher whose shirt was ripped in humiliation became the teacher who ripped apart the walls of disrespect and built something stronger in its place. If this story touched your heart, tell us in the comments, what would you have done if you were in Miss Ayla's place? Your thoughts and voices matter. And don't forget, this is Xposed Tales, where true courage and powerful stories come alive. Subscribe now, because the next story might just inspire you in ways you never imagined.